We are back again with another episode of Reinventing Racehorses with Jasmine and Kimberly. We're the podcast that tends to focus on the standardbred breed, both off and on the racetrack. Thank you to everybody who participated in the poll that we posted last week, asking what you want to hear about from us. We had some fantastic responses. Thank you to whoever told us, probably mostly me, that I need to talk slower. Chronic habit, in case you haven't noticed, I don't think it's going to change. I'm going to try, but when I get excited, words just tend to tumble out of my mouth. Sometimes in English, sometimes in gibberish.
Fortunately, we're both pretty fluent in gibberish.
Not everybody is, though, so I will do my absolute best to try not to speak like I'm trying to outrun a clock. I make no promises, but I will do my best.
Though I can make a promise that I'll make fun of you for it if you do.
Right back at you. You talk fast too, lady.
This is true.
Exactly. So, on this week's episode, again, like we said a couple episodes ago, we are taking the training wheels off. You will not hear a script reading. We are not going to do all of the same segments that we've been doing. We are going to be freewheeling just a little bit more. And so this week, Jasmine and I are going to talk a little bit about the clinic that we did with Keelan from Celtic Creek Ranch, who is also on our board of directors for New Start. We got the opportunity to have him out last weekend for a training seminar. And as well, we have a new horse available for adoption through New Start. So we're going to touch on him just so he gets some airtime. And then our main topic for today, we are going to talk about the dating world when you're an equestrian. And especially when you're like Jasmine and I, and pretty well your main roles in life revolve around horses. So you don't do a whole lot without horses being involved somehow. And that sometimes creates some interesting situations. So we're glad that you're along for the ride, and let's get started.
All right, let's start today off by discussing the clinic that we participated in. First off, thank you again to Keelan for coming out and teaching us all so much. Kim, what would you say your favorite part about the clinic was?
I know that we did our one-day clinic on the Saturday. I had the opportunity to join Keelan on a road trip on Sunday. As another thing that I do is I also have a small photography business. So I actually joined Keelan on the road. He did some individual training sessions with 5 different people on Sunday. So I got to not only attend our own clinic, but I also got the opportunity to watch other people. And I think overall, I actually learned more on the Sunday because it's one thing when you're working with your own horse and you're applying what you're learning at the time. But while I was taking pictures, I was getting the opportunity to watch others and learn from them and learn from their horses. And I saw a lot of things that I wanted to work on in my horses that we worked on Saturday, but it was different to stand back and watch it. I learned so much on that day. I think that was probably the most memorable for me. And honestly, like it was amazing. I didn't get the opportunity on Saturday to work on some of the things the goals that I had set for Saturday because we genuinely couldn't find the dragon in my gelding. And for anybody that has listened to this podcast long enough about Nugget knows that we like to jokingly call his alter ego the dragon because he is a little bit sassy and a little bit saucy, and he goes from 0 to 60 really quickly when he hits his little dragon mode. And we tried everything to get the dragon to come out, and the dragon didn't want to play. He wanted to be a perfect gentleman. So we actually couldn't work on some of the things I wanted to because of that. But I was able to learn some great techniques to take away to work when the dragon does want to come play. How about you, Jasmine? What was your favorite part of the weekend?
I think one of my most, I don't know if I'd even call it most memorable so much as favorite moments, was realizing that Jazz, the horse that I've been working with, is exactly 100% everything that we thought he was. He is a solid trail horse. He doesn't do anything fancy, but he will get you safely from point A to point B. And the amount of confidence that I found in him upon realizing that was really comforting.
So we do have another horse that is now up for adoption through New Start since we last shared the horses. So a stunning gray gelding has come into our program to find a home through his owner. And Wally is his name. Wally Dragon is his registered name. He is a 14-year-old, approximately 15 hand high, gray standardbred. So he's a very gentle boy, and his story, he's hoping to find a happy retirement home. So Wally had a very modest race career, but he bounced around quite a bit between owners in his time. When he was retired, he was trained under saddle and also driven both single and double. He did try a career as a gaming horse. However, it didn't quite work out for him. So he found a home as an endurance horse with his current owner, Julie, who got him last year. So she started out amazing with him. She did lots of work. And if you have been around endurance training or anything like that to do with endurance and their horses, they go through a lot of rigorous veterinary work because your horse needs to be 100% sound. They need to be 100% healthy. Their breathing needs to be good. Their heart rate needs to be good. So they get vetted quite a bit. So Wally started out great. He really had a knack for the endurance and was actually the 2019 Standardbred Showcase Endurance Horse of the Year. Unfortunately, late last fall, he started showing signs of irritation when he was being ridden. And then this spring, he started to show lameness. A veterinary examination upon getting this lameness looked at found that he actually has bursitis. So bursitis results when a bursa becomes inflamed, and the resulting swelling and stiffness create pain and limit movement of a horse's limb. So the bursa are closed sacs of fluid lined with a membrane that secretes a lubricating fluid. The veterinarian recommends that cortisone shots are the best form of treatment for Wally's future. If he's required to be sound, then he needs those shots at least quarterly, if not more often. However, he can live out his companion days and not need those shots as frequently. Wally was also found he's developing cataracts in both his eyes. So he is going blind. Currently, they only affect his vision by 25%, but the likelihood is that it will get worse. He can stand for hours to be brushed. He's incredibly gentle. He loves children. He's very sweet and very gentle. He would make an amazing companion horse, or even an equine assisted learning therapy horse. Due to his owner's farm status, unfortunately, she can't keep him as a companion. However, if she could, she would. She absolutely adores him, and she's heartbroken that he's not turning out to be able to stay with her family. He has the perfect personality. He cannot be ridden at all. Even if you wanted to give him a bunch of cortisone shots, he's just not happy, and that's not going to change. He needs to be able to be comfortable and live his life expectancy as long as possible. So why bother trying to ride him and shortening his life? You can find out more about him on our website, newstartstandardbreds.com. Alrighty. Are you ready for the most exciting part of our podcast? And we're probably going way off the rails, and we may offend a few people that are here strictly for the horse learning knowledge. But we're horse people. We are here to discuss the realities of being horse people, the realities of being involved in horse rescue, and how it affects our daily lives. And one of those things that affects in our daily lives is dating. Jasmine and I are both currently single. We have had serious relationships in the past, but both of us have been single for quite a while. And honestly, I won't lie. I mean, dating is essentially impossible during COVID right now, but dating as a horse person is a strange, weird thing that happens. And not only that, when you, like I said in our opening, when you are involved with horses pretty well on the daily, because especially with us, I mean, we both have other jobs and other things that we do with our lives, but we're involved with working our own horses, and we're involved every day in horse rescue with New Start. It's part of our lives. It's more than just a hobby. It's more than just a little kid's dream, so to speak. Jasmine and I both do online dating. Now, I'm waiting for the gas of, oh, that's gross, or, that's so childish, or whatever. We live under a rock. We live in an area that has like 6,000 people between like 5 towns, and we pretty well grew up with everyone, and or you're related to them. Dating is kind of hard. Neither of us really go out. We don't party. It's hard to date unless you want to like date your third cousin, and that's really weird. So, and probably illegal somewhere. So, online dating is kind of what we have available to us. So, if nobody knows where we live in the municipality of Trent Hills, which is, you're probably like, where in sweet heaven's earth is that? It is 45 minutes from Belleville and 45 minutes from Peterborough and about 50 minutes from Coburg. We are slapped just below Highway 7. And yes, you can pull out the north of 7 jokes. We aren't north of 7 yet, but we border it. That's where we live. So online dating is kind of what we have. However, I don't have a lot of pictures of me for my online dating profile that don't involve a horse, because there's not a lot of places that I go where people take pictures of me that doesn't involve a horse. There's not a lot of options unless I want to take a million selfies, and I don't like looking at a bazillion selfies of a dude. I'm sure a dude doesn't want to look at a bazillion selfies of my face. So the option is horse pictures. That being said, I'm sure you can understand what happens when you start taking these horse pictures and posting them on dating profiles. Now, the majority of them are just gross, immature boys. I'm going to forewarn you, this podcast from here on out is a little bit 18 plus. It is along the lines of, oh, you should ride, you know how to ride horses. That means you should ride me. Ha ha ha.
Haha, you want to ride a real stallion, babe?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. However, sometimes they get a little bit more creative. Usually that means they get a little creepier.
One of the ones that we get quite frequently is, you ride horses. Will you teach me to ride? Will you teach my kids to ride? Will you teach my niece and nephew to ride?
Will you teach my neighbor to ride?
Yeah. My kids love horses. Can I bring them by to give your horse carrots sometime? Obviously, having a horse means that your horse must now be available for the entirety of his family to be able to use.
And I also want to say, we are not berating people that say this. However, I'm just saying it happens a lot. And my horses love kids. But I'm not inviting a stranger out to bring their child to pet my horse, because I don't know if you're secretly an axe murderer in your other life. It's not happening. And then you get some that are very creative. So this one that I got was a little while ago, and my profile boasted 2 selfies, 2 pictures of me with a horse, and a picture of me from somebody's wedding. So 5 pictures. I got this message, and I will read this one word by word, exactly how it's spelled. So if I say something wrong, you know why. Just a heads up, when it comes to online dating, the more horse pictures you add, the more crazy it looks like you have an obsessive, compulsive personality. We're only interested in you and not your horses. Compassion is great, and being an animal person is commendable, but taking it a step further just means you're loco. Obsessive personality. So my response was not safe for this podcast. However, his response back to me was, apparently jokes aren't appreciated. Noted. Yikes. Haha. So literally, because your spastic message wasn't taken properly, it's suddenly a joke. Always. Isn't that always it?
Of course, if we don't like what they've said, it's because we can't take a joke.
Another one that comes up a lot is their first message to you. And I get this first message a lot from someone. They always say, are horse girls as crazy as I've heard they are? Well, yes, they are. However, why does that have to be your first question? Are you genuinely curious? Probably not. Usually, if I respond with a genuine yes, we are, it's followed up by, are you crazy in the bedroom? And it goes downhill from there. So they're usually not asking for a genuine curiosity of like, I've heard horse girls are crazy and I just really, really need to know that answer. No, that's not really why they're asking. However, that is by far the most common question I get from someone out of the blue.
That actually pairs in well with one that I get a lot. Have you ever posed naked with your horse?
Oh, I've been asked that one a few times, especially because I also do photography. They're like, do you do naked photo shoots with animals? And I'm like, that's really disturbing. Why do you ask me that? I wouldn't even want to get on a horse for a photo shoot in a dress. Do you know how much horsehair and sweat is going to go in places that you're never going to get it back out of again? It's kind of like wearing a bikini on the beach. No matter what you do, you're going to get sand in places that it's going to be irritating. You're going to get horsehair and sweat in places it's going to be irritating. I have zero interest in plucking horsehair from between my thighs for the rest of my life. Not safe for work moment of where this is going. I've had a lot of people say, oh, you can ride a horse. Can you ride a person? And it's like, why are you asking me that? First of all, it is 2 totally different things. Just putting that out there. And second of all, why do you ask me that? Because instantly you have signed the paperwork on, I'm never going to go on a date with you, right there and then.
Another fun one is you get the message that says, that is a beautiful stallion you're riding. To which, of course, I answer with, thanks, but it's not a stallion. That one's a mare. Oh, how did you know the difference? Well, a stallion has balls. If it doesn't have balls, it's not a stallion.
And it has 2 very different reproductive systems. One is on the back end, one is underneath. That's usually how you tell. I mean, it's kind of like you can tell the difference between a human female and a male human. They are different genitalia. It's very basic.
The way that you put it, the way that you said that. A human female and a male human.
Jesus. You can tell where I stand on the men. Now I know that it seems like we're ragging on men a lot. However, I will be completely honest, men on online dating mostly seem to be they're good. There are more regular conversations than there ever are these terrible ones, but when we get terrible messages, this is usually how they relate to. They relate back to things related to horses.
Another thing, we're not ragging on men because we want to rag on men. We're ragging on men because that's who we talk to in online dating. Kim and I are both heterosexual. We are interested in men. We don't know what kind of things women are saying because we're not talking to women.
No, and I have guy friends that do online dating, and they're not guy friends that are into horse. And I know for a fact they get some wicked, crazy ass questions from women. So I do not doubt that women are just as bad as men in some of the crazy things that they say. However, relating back to a lot of, as an equestrian doing online dating, there is some crazy things that you get asked. Now, getting off of the things that people say, when you're scrolling, especially if you're on something like Tinder where you scroll profiles, or even like Plenty of Fish, you're scrolling profiles or whatever, people have pictures. So one thing that I pass fairly often, which I'm actually surprised about, is a lot of men have a picture of them on a horse. And the thing is a lot of these men have absolutely nothing to do with horses. A lot of them are either they may be small town raised or they may be city raised. They just have a random picture of them on a horse or with a horse. I must be like an ex-girlfriend's horse or a friend's horse or a sister's horse or a family's, or on vacation. A lot of them are from vacations where they go on trail rides in the Bahamas and things like that. But there are just these random pictures of men on a horse. And my problem as an equestrian dating online is when I see these pictures, I don't just be like, oh, look, it's a dude on a horse and move on with my life. I judge this picture because a lot of these times, these men obviously are not into horses. They're not horse people. They are wearing running shoes. They are wearing shorts. They are not wearing a helmet, which is a big one for me. They are doing terrible posture. That's not going to attract me. And usually those profiles, no matter what it says, I move on from it. Because if you genuinely can't understand basic human animal interaction, that you're not really doing something safe or good for that animal, I don't know how well we're going to get along, because all you've done is hop on to pose for a picture. And I know I've had relationships, and those relationships, they've ridden my horses. They are required to wear a helmet. I don't care how stupid they feel. B, if they're wearing running shoes, they are not off a lead line. And C, I always make sure that my saddle and my tack is properly fitted for them to get on my horse. Whoever allowed these people to get on these horses, shame on you. Because you are not doing your horse any justice, and you are not doing that poor person any justice in terms of making them look like they care about the animal at all.
I absolutely love seeing a hot guy on a horse just as much as the next girl.
Amen to that.
As long as everything is safe for both the horse and the rider, I cannot feel attraction to something that I am looking at as an incoming train wreck.
It is a train wreck because they've sat on a horse once in their lives and they believe they're a cowboy. It doesn't work like that. You are not John Wayne because you have gotten on a horse once in your life. Now, on the flip side of that, dating guys that are also into horses. A lot of people are probably like, hey, that would be great. It's nice to share, a passion with somebody, and you get to do the same thing. For me, not so much.
Yeah, I disagree with that.
I have all of my life, this is not anything new, since I started dating, I have never been interested in dating someone that was also into horses. Horses for me have always been my passion, my interest. I have very little interest in sharing that with someone I'm dating. I am totally fine with them wanting to learn about it. I am totally fine with them wanting to join me sometimes because it's what I like to do, the same way that I want to join them to do the things that they love to do if they're into fishing or hunting or anything like that. Can you tell I'm from the backwoods when that's what I come up with? But I just, somebody that's also into horses, just, I don't know. I'm not attracted. I have no interest in dating someone also into horses. And I don't know why. You would think that that would be great, but I don't. It is my thing. I am sticking to it, and I don't really want to share. I actually have struggled with people that I've dated who weren't into horses before, but they started to get into it, and then they wanted to go to the barn with me all the time. And it honestly drove me up the wall, and it actually ended a couple of my relationships because that's my time. That's my space. I want my time and my space, my independence. And I'm all for them coming sometimes, but not all the time.
Another thing is, and this might sound kind of petty, but I don't want to date someone who could potentially be better at my thing than I am. And it sounds horrible and competitive and silly and petty, and I know that. But I enjoy what I do, and I enjoy that I am good at what I do. I understand that I am absolutely not an expert.
And for me, I don't have a lot of like I said, I don't go out a lot. I don't have a huge contingent of friends. And so when I need to get away from things, I go to the barn. And if I can't get away from my significant other because they are also at the barn, I've now lost my happy place or the place that I need to go when I need to vent or let off some steam. When I get angry or when I get upset or if I have fights with someone that I'm dating, usually you're going to find me at the barn because the horses are what takes away that anger for me. Spending time with them, like it's therapy. And I don't want to have to compete with my significant other to do that because that's losing my happy place and that's losing my happiness. And I don't want that. That's my place. Men, don't be afraid to ask us about our horses. I mean, if you're listening to this podcast, I doubt some random dude from Tinder is listening to this, but you never know. Some people are into some weird things. But
You never know, Kim. You could get married because of this rant.
Right? I don't think so. I don't think that's happening for a very long time. But I'm all for a guy that genuinely is interested in what I'm interested in. He might not know about it, but he asks me questions. What do you do? Like, what kind of riding do you do? What kind of horses do you have? Do not insult my breed of horse when I tell you that has happened. I get really ugly. I'm all for that. But why do we gotta make it a sex joke all the time? That's the part where it draws the line. I don't find it funny. I have never found it funny. I'm not going to get offended that you're not into horses. That's okay. You tell me that you never want to get on my horse in your life and you're like, yep, that's your thing. I guess that's my other thing is I'm not into somebody who also just goes, I'm not interested in that, you do that, and shows no wanting to at least learn the basics of what I'm interested in. So I guess there's a happy medium in there that we didn't talk about. I'm going to be that crazy old lady with 50 cats and 50 horses that sits in a rocking chair and stares at the neighbors all the time. I think that's going to be me.
Yeah, well, the funny thing is, it's probably going to be me as your neighbor, equally crazy, equally psycho cat lady.
It's a fine line, and honestly, most of the thing, Jasmine and I take it in good fun. We are so used to some of these things that people say that we take it and we joke about it. And the thing is there are many guys that I have then gone on a date with who have maybe started the conversation with one of these things that we discuss that we're used to that maybe we don't like. Because we also are not big on, I'm not big on ignoring, and I know Jasmine isn't either, on just ignoring someone when they send a message. So I will respond. And the thing is I'm so used to it, is a lot of times my responses are, couldn't you come up with something more original, or some kind of sarcastic joke. And if somebody
Does
can
that
come,
line work on real women?
yeah, if somebody can come back at me with with good sarcasm or a good personality, I'm going to overlook the first thing you say to me, because you probably actually were joking. And unfortunately for you, 6,000 other people that said it weren't. But it's not a one shot and you've shot yourself in the foot and you're done. It's what's the rest of your personality like afterwards. Now, if I send back, does that line work on real women, or couldn't you come up with anything more original, and you get somebody that snaps back at you and is like, well, to heck with you, blah 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 blah, you're just a pig, yeah, no, you're a hard no, because obviously your personality needs a little bit of work.
I had someone tell me they were going to find me and kill me and burn my house down.
Yeah, there's some real personality issues in people out there. Some people can't handle sarcasm like others. And you know what? I'm not interested in the people that can't handle sarcasm. People think it's a casual hobby that you can put up and put down, and it's not. These are live animals that need your care every day. It's like having a cat or a dog. It's just 10 times the size. So I think we've definitely beaten the dead horse on this topic, and we should probably wrap it up. But thank you, everyone, for listening to this. It is out of our normal element a little bit. Hopefully you like it. You'll probably hate it. Feel free to send us hate mail. Probably to me, probably most of the babbling, so might as well direct it to me.
I would love to hear stories from anyone who wanted to drop us a comment about their crazy stories relating to dating an equestrian or being an equestrian trying to find someone to date. I think that would be a lot of fun. And if we got enough feedback, we could probably do a follow-up to this and read some of those comments out.
We will see you, hear you. You'll hear us next time. Speak with you. You'll hear us next week on Reinventing Racehorses, and we will see what kind of crazy topic we can find. I don't know if it can top this week.